Hey, what up, universe? It's the L Dog Show. Just wanted to pop in here right at the beginning. I'm gonna do a little bit different this week. I wanted to show you a strategy session. This is typical of what I do on a regular basis with clients. The client that I'm speaking with has graciously agreed to let me use the discussion that we had as a starting point. I have edited out a lot of the more personal things that maybe she wouldn't want to have public, but I'll also kind of drop in from time to time and give a little bit of background and further explanation to what I'm talking about. But over the next few minutes, I think it's a great idea or a great opportunity for you to see specifically what it is that I do when I'm talking to clients. So without further ado, enjoy this strategy session. Enjoy being a fly on the wall. And
There
what
we go.
I wanted to do here is the strategy session is really just a conversation between the two of us about what my philosophy is of investing and financial
Okay.
planning in general, as well as a discussion of what your particular goals and needs are. And we kind of build out or start to build out from there. The 3 steps to financial freedom are: eliminate debt,
Yeah.
build wealth, leave a legacy. So I start the
Yep.
discussion, and then there are a couple of what I call baby steps in there. Things like setting up a little bit of an emergency fund, getting on a budget, getting some life insurance, those kinds of things. But to start the whole process, I usually just ask 3 really basic open-ended questions. First question is,
Okay.
do you have any debt?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a mortgage? Or is it credit
No.
card debt?
Credit
Card debt?
cards.
Pardon me?
Both. Both, which I'm hoping to clear most of them by the end of the month.
The next question that I ask is, do you have any long-term savings plans open?
I'd like to, once I clear my credit card debt. My son, my youngest, is turning 18, so that's going to change a few things for me, and free up more money.
Mhm.
And he will be paying rent. Um, I want to teach him that, it's the way to go. I'm not going to charge him a whole bunch, but I want him to learn to understand that.
Okay, and then the last question that I ask is a variation. It varies a little bit depending on the situation, but it's basically a variation of, do we have anybody in our life that is financially dependent upon us? You have mentioned a son. Is there anyone else?
Dependent on me? No.
Do you have any life insurance or anything like that in place?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any life insurance?
I can't get life
Yeah, in
insurance
your case,
because of my disease.
exactly.
Nobody,
For sure.
nobody will insure me.
Hi there, me again. I'm getting into something here that I don't want anyone to miss, and that is the fact that regardless of your medical history, there is almost, I won't say always, I won't go right out on a limb, but there is almost always a solution. And I run into this on a regular basis. People who have had chronic illnesses in the past, serious illnesses, even minor-ish illnesses that they think will preclude them from having life insurance. A heart attack 20 years ago, cancer that's managed, something like that. And I get into a discussion here with her regarding this idea that even though you may have a chronic illness, you are still insurable. It all comes down to a level of coverage that you qualify for and a price point that you're willing to pay. So listen in and see what you think. Now, there are some companies out there that specialize in what I refer to as difficult to insure individuals.
I was really starting to think about that last week. That if I'm able to pay $100 a month into it and then be able to leave something for my children, that would be amazing.
Probably what you're looking at, if I can be general in this, is really
You tell me whatever can be said.
really what you'd be looking at, I think, in your case would be something basically enough to cover a funeral and leave a little bit.
Okay. Well, my funeral costs are covered already by the city, I guess, by social services, because I'm on assistance.
Right.
They provide, well, I want to be cremated, so.
CPP is going to give you $2,500.
Okay.
That's it, and it's not enough. The average funeral, even if it's cremation, is like 8 to 10 grand. So I'd be looking at something around the $25,000 number.
And to be quite honest, because of my complex and lengthy medical history, I know they would charge me a lot.
Well, I mean, there is one policy that I'm thinking of that's called the guaranteed issue policy. And the way the application works is they ask the same questions over and over again throughout the application in slightly different wording with slightly different timeframes on the way the question is built. And the minute you answer yes, you stop the application, and they say, okay, this is what you qualify for. So it's like, have you been diagnosed with cancer in the last 5 years? No. Have you been diagnosed with in the last 10 years? And they say, yes. Okay, well, now at 10 years, you can qualify for this amount of coverage, and it's going to be this much money. If you just said yes, 5 years, you qualify for a lesser amount of coverage for more money. And that's kind of the way they've built the application, and it does tend to work. I've done it for people with chronic illnesses before. So after we finished that discussion about life insurance, and she started to understand that maybe she is insurable, which is wonderful for her, we then started talking about what to do with a significant amount of money that she has coming in from a source within the next couple of weeks that she wants to be responsible with, pay off some debts and then start some investing. And so we started talking about credit cards and how they work, and various investment options for her. Okay. So what I would suggest in that case then is yes, go ahead and put as much of it as you can on those credit cards.
Okay.
Get them cleared off as quickly as possible, because one of the things that people don't understand about credit cards is that the interest that they're charging is in most cases 4 to 5 times what you're going to get in an investment. So I've had people come to me in similar situations to yours and say, I've got $10,000 worth of credit card debt, but I want to open an RRSP instead. And I'm like, no, you don't, because the best RRSPs I have, I mean, it all depends on how risky you want to be with it, but the average RRSP that I have gets you about 8%, and your credit card company is charging you 18%. So
or 19, even.
Absolutely,
up to 24. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And then the next thing, as part of the baby step process, and in that 3-step process, one of the baby step intermediate steps is to establish a emergency fund. And I recommend at least $1,000 up to 3 months of your expenses. And what I do is I put that in a TFSA so that it's accessible to you without a lot of tax consequences. And then the next thing that I would do is start a long-term retirement account in an RRSP. And we'd be looking at, roughly how, I don't need your exact date of birth, but roughly how old are you these days?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm 58.
Okay.
So for me, retirement savings,
right,
you know, I'm not going to stop, I don't think, doing what I do.
right.
And retiring to anybody nowadays, I don't think is going to come in like it used
No,
to.
absolutely. So I just wanted to jump in here one more time and point out that this is a common sentiment that we see these days, where people are starting to think in terms of retirement less in terms of a number or a time of life, and more in terms of just a transition into a slower lifestyle. People continue to work, people continue to be active, people are living much, much longer, and so there's no real set time when people automatically say, that's my retirement date. And that frees up a lot of options for planning and makes things a lot easier for people. Absolutely.
So whatever I can put aside while I am living, I think is still of great value.
Right. You've only got about 13 years that you can contribute to an RSP at this point. Because at 71 they
because
stop.
at 65 they
That's
change,
71.
right?
At 71, at 71 they make you.
At 71? Okay.
So there isn't a heck of a lot of time, but I would say, if we put some money into something and I can show you some things where we can be a little bit more aggressive without a huge concern about downside risk. We can kind of mitigate the risk with a few things. So we can go for a 10 or 15% return. And if we did $200 a month into a plan that was getting you 10 or 15% back for the next 10 years or so, that could turn into a fairly decent chunk of money sitting there that could be either drawn upon as income or put toward an estate for your kids or whatever the case. So those are the two things that I would, or three, I guess, if we include paying off the credit card.
Yeah, to start going.
That I would suggest as your strategy at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this out for you in a format that's easy to reference, with a couple of suggestions of some investment accounts that we could look at using for the various things. And then we can kind of go from there. The other nice thing about that is if we get some decent RRSP contributions happening between now and the end of the year, that's going to look good on your 2021 tax return.
Okay, good.
Right?
Good. Okay.
So let me do that for you right now, and we'll check back. Well, I'll send you an email with the summary of what I'm thinking in a couple of days, and we'll make a plan to do this again in 2 weeks or so, and get something going for you.